Welcome to Hero Club. I'm Nick Williams.
And I am George Primavera.
George and I have been playing D&D together for years.
Now, a lot of people think you need to be a big, huge nerd boy to play Dungeons & Dragons.
But in reality, you just have to be willing to spend 4 hours of your own time on a weekday trashed on cheap beer cross-legged around a coffee table.
I lost a game of Flip Cup in 2012, so I had to buy all the books and learn how to be Dungeon Master. My dad was disappointed.
Yeah, he was. But after a game or two, we realized that it's actually a really fun and effective way to tell an awesome story.
Yeah, it's like long-form improv, but you kill more people.
Here's what you need to know. George creates a world and the framework for a cool story.
And the players, like Nick, create characters beforehand, all with special abilities, sometimes magical, sometimes not, and they adventure through the story as best they can, trying not to die.
We, the players, roll dice to see if our improvised actions fail or succeed, trying to beat a number in George's head that he promises he doesn't change at will.
But at the table, I am God, my game, my rules.
Okay, so it's as nerdy as you thought. You know what? Just fuck off, man.
Oh, okay.
Fuck right off,
All right,
okay?
Nick, maybe don't tell everybody to F off. And it's not that nerdy. I mean, we get rid of all that stupid math, and we add music and sound effects and stuff like that, so, you know, it's cool.
Anyway, these stories do follow a linear plot, so if you want to know what's going on, start at the beginning of any season you like, and have fun with it.
Without further ado...
Welcome to Hero Club! Yeah!
Zephaniah 3:3. Her princes within her are roaring lions. Her judges are wolves at evening. They leave nothing for the morning.
It's approaching 3 a.m. as the trio finally boards Theodosia's riverboat casino. Jeremiah takes the lead up the plank, having just vanquished his former gang member, Byron Highcollar Kane. Elias and Ember quickly bring up the rear. The plank recedes back into the boat, and the door closes behind them. The trio, plus about 20-30 guests, are being held in a little holding room, at the other end of which is a set of beautiful, ornate wooden doors. Hushed, excited whispers reverberate in the very small room, and up next to you, Jeremiah, sidles a very fat, mustachioed, enthusiastic-looking man. After he stands next to you silently for a moment, he extends his hand.
Hello there, sir. My name's Wexler. Great to meet you. You look like a man of some substance. I love that suit.
Can I help you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think I properly introduced myself. Wexler Van Buren's the name. That's right. I know what you're thinking. And you're right. I'm a descendant of the former president, Martin Van Buren. It's something I don't like to talk about very much, but everybody always asks when they hear the name, Van Buren. It's a hard one to ignore, Van Buren. Oh, how rude of me. This is my ward, or as I like to call him, my valet, David. David, shake hands with the nice man.
David is a very sallow-faced man with a vacant look in his eye, looking just about as bored as he could possibly be.
Hello.
Jeremiah doesn't shake David's hand either. Well, can I help you, Mr. Van Buren?
Oh, I mean, I'm just so excited for this trip. Thought we were all making friends, but I can see that maybe you're not so receptive. I'll come back to you after you've had a few. David, follow me. This man's not looking for a conversation right now, it would appear.
Yes, Mr. Van Buren.
And he leaves. A little sheepish. Elias and Ember come up alongside Jeremiah.
What an asshole.
Who?
You see him, that rich, sweaty legacy type with his little man boy?
You glance over, Wexler catches all of you looking at him, and he gives you a wave as he twiddles all of his fingers. The rings clack even from across the room.
Jeremiah makes a point of closing himself off to the man. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, good thing you got him away. He seems real dangerous.
It's just the type of people in these places. You know, highborn, silver spoon in their mouth, assholes.
Well, you can't ignore everybody on the boat then, seeming as you just described all of them. Might be useful to glean a little information from some. I don't know.
Have you ever been on a fancified riverboat like this? No, you haven't.
You don't know shit about what I've done.
Oh, really? So you have been on a fancified riverboat casino?
I don't want to talk to you no more.
That's what I thought. Right, Elias? Where are the tables at?
Around the room, the whispers start to get a little more excited. There's a little bit of a crescendo in the room. You hear a couple of things from other conversations in your proximity.
Well, actually, I have two stables. I have my riding stable and I have my horse stable. Put 3 children in her and...
The commotion very suddenly settles as a very short, hunched man raises his hand as he stands in front of the 2 big doors.
Can I please see?
He consults a list.
Jeremiah Finch, Elias Craig, Ember.
Heads swivel around trying to see who this short, hunched butler is referring to.
Elias's hand shoots up. Yes, that's me. Elias Craig.
The man finds you in the crowd, waves you up.
Excuse me, sir, what's this in reference to?
I am to show you to your rooms before the rest of the crowd.
Jeremiah pipes up. What's the catch?
No catch, sir. Our luxury rooms board first.
Well, why didn't you say so? Lead the way.
Some of the people are a little disgruntled that you're getting in first.
Well, why do they get to go before us?
Yes, do you know what I had to pay to get these tickets?
Now, everyone will board momentarily. You 3, come with me.
He swings open the doors, gestures along to you. You come out into this gorgeously decorated great hall, poker tables everywhere, 2 full bars on either side, which take up the entire curved wall of the boat. But he moves past that, goes to another small door that leads out into a dark hallway lit by some candles, the wax dripping gently onto the floor, into little silver pans. And finally, you reach the end of the hallway. Double doors wait for you. He sticks a key in the lock, and the door swings open to a room that is the height of luxury. Silk sheets on 3 beds, each separated by their own little makeshift doors and walls to give the maximum amount of privacy. In the corner, a basin of steaming water in case any of the 3 of you wanted to take a bath as soon as you entered, and 7 candelabras on sconces on the wall light the room beautifully.
Feel free to freshen up. The games start in 20 minutes.
And the man leaves you in your room on your own.
It's just like the devil, escorting us in his own style.
Are you sure the devil sent us here? This was pretty nice digs to give your worst enemy.
Elias, exhausted, looks at Ember, then looks back to Jeremiah. Mr. Finch, everything nice that happens to us in the coming days, I assure you, is the devil. The devil said he'd send Theodosia for us.
Fine. All of you turn away if you wish. I'm going to take my bath now. And Jeremiah begins undressing, carefully folding his tuxedo on the bed, and gets into the bath.
Oh my, you got out of that so fast, I didn't even have a chance to look away. Not really.
It's a skill I've put many hours into. But, well, not in this context.
I do not want to see that again.
I'm not stopping you. Go to your own room if you don't want to see me.
Elias goes to his own room and begins to pore over the book he received from Friedrich O'Toole.
Ember retires to her room and begins cleaning off her various weapons.
15 minutes pass. You hear a knock on the door.
It's time if you'd like to join.
We'll follow you shortly. And almost as fast as he got undressed, Jeremiah is dried off and dressed again. What are you waiting for?
Another knock at the door.
Excuse me, I have your chips.
We're coming. Now, do any of y'all know how to play blackjack?
Oh, well, of course I do. There's a veritable cornucopia of activities to engage in at a bordello once you've done the obvious. How about you, Elias? Can you play blackjack? I feel like you're a regular shark.
Well, when I was with all those other preachers, I was alone most of the time, so I got real good at solitaire.
So you can't?
No, are we expected to play that?
Well, why do you think we'll dress the way we are? To blend in. And do you know what people do in dens of sin? They play blackjack. And Jeremiah exits the room, greeting the tiny man with the chips as he does. Oh, hello! You're standing very close to the door.
$200 in chips, as is included in your ticket price.
Well, let's see about quadrupling that, shall we? And Jeremiah takes all 200.
You all make your way back down the hallway, the little man leading you back to the great hall. As you come out into the hall, you see everybody has already started playing. You even see Wexler sitting at a blackjack table in the left-hand corner of the room, and he appears to be doing very well.
David, you might even get a pair of pants out of this. I'm Wexler Van Buren, the president's heir.
You are most generous, sir.
Oh, those are my friends. You, clear some room at the table. Clear some room. Come over here, sir. Come over here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jeremiah attempts to hide in plain sight behind a crowd of people.
Roll a stealth check for me.
23.
What? Oh, where'd he go?
Upon seeing Mr. Van Buren, Jeremiah ducks behind Mayor Butterworth and his enormous bulk and just walks with him as he shambles across the gambling hall.
You two. Did you see where my friend went?
Jeremiah puts his finger up to his lips and shakes his head violently.
Can you both roll deception checks?
5.
4.
Both Ember and Elias are staring right at Jeremiah, so confused by what he is doing, and Wexler immediately tracks Mayor Butterworth, sees Jeremiah peek out from behind his enormous bulk to see if Wexler is still spotting him.
I see you. Oh, you dog. Come over and play blackjack. David, dust those chairs off.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah shoots a vengeful glare over at Elias and Ember before sighing heavily and walking over to the table with Van Buren.
The three reach the table. Wexler enthusiastically slaps one of the chairs for Jeremiah to sit next to him.
I believe it is your turn to bet, sir.
The dealer turns to you. Would you like to deal in, sir?
Sensing an opportunity to belittle this man at the table, Jeremiah turns on the charm. I would be honored to share such a beautiful evening like tonight with American royalty like yourself. Count me in.
Now that is what I like to hear. Proper respect for the Van Buren name. Deal this man in.
You are dealt in. Jeremiah is dealt a 10 of spades and a king of clubs, already at 20. The dealer flops his cards out. One of them is face down, the other is a 4 of diamonds. What would you like to bet, sir?
Count me in for 20. And Jeremiah pushes his chips forward.
The dealer pushes his chips in, a 2-to-1 table, so another 20 chips are pushed forward. Would you like to hit or would you like to stick?
Stick, sir.
The dealer proceeds to hit himself, and he decides to stick as well. The cards are revealed. The dealer is at 19, Jeremiah is at 20.
Ha ha! Jeremiah uses both hands to scoop all of the chips towards him. There's that famous Finch good luck.
Mr. Van Buren, another one for you?
Well, of course.
Van Buren looks at his cards, seems a little perplexed.
How about 600?
He pushes $600 worth of chips into the center.
Hit me.
He hits, looks satisfied.
I'll stick with that.
The dealer begins to hit himself and sticks. They reveal their cards. The dealer is at 20 and Wexler is at 19, and he loses his $600 of chips. But he doesn't look at all upset.
That's how it goes sometimes. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Of course I do. Elias, why don't you try your hand? I'll front you 20 of mine.
Okay. Question. How do you play?
The dealer wordlessly deals him cards. Elias's cards are a 3 of clubs and a 2 of diamonds. The dealer deals his cards down. One of them is face down. The other is a 9 of diamonds. What would you like to bet?
Go big, you only live once.
20.
$20 in chips pushed to the center. Would you like to hit or stick?
Elias's eyes dart around the table.
Jeremiah punches his fist into his palm to motion for Elias to hit.
Punch.
The dealer looks confused, realizes what Elias meant, and then deals a card. It's a 7 of diamonds. Elias's total is now at 12. Hit or stick?
Jeremiah continues the motion a little more aggressively this time.
Elias is sweating. Hit.
Elias has hit 20. Hit or stick?
Jeremiah holds up both of his hands as if to say stop.
Stop.
Very good. Dealer stops as well. He reveals his cards. 19. Elias takes the pot.
How?
Would you like in, miss?
Ember's already sat herself down at a stool next to the table and says, well, I was waiting for you to ask. Yes, please.
Her 2 cards, a jack of hearts face up and a 4 of diamonds face down. The dealer deals his cards, 1 face down, the other is a 4 of spades. How much would you like to bet, miss?
I guess I'll stick to our 20, and I'd like to hit, please.
Ember receives an 8 of spades and immediately busts. The dealer hits himself and hits 21 on the blackjack.
Oh, well, you win some, you lose some. Right, Van Buren?
Wexler has already left the table and is at the bar chatting a couple of rich folk up, gesticulating wildly with his hands. He looks over at the 3 of you, waves with his clacking, ring-laden fingers, and then turns back to the conversation he's having currently. You didn't even see him get up.
Stealthier than I thought he'd be.
Suddenly, at the end of the room, up on a banister, there's a little bit of a commotion as several people part ways, and somebody steps out onto the banister, still kind of in shadow. The short, hunched butler from before waves for everybody's attention. It takes about a minute or so before everybody finally calms down and is silent, and he begins to announce.
Everybody, if you would please give a very warm welcome to your esteemed hostess this evening, Theodosia, Queen.
A light sort of fades up on Theodosia, and we finally get a good look at her.
Theodosia is a tall, slim woman in long green velvet. She has a small headpiece that has several black and green feathers in it. She's an elegant woman with dark skin pulled tightly over where her ears would be, and she has dark curls framing her face. To quell the still boisterous crowd, Theodosia lets out a long, high whistle. In the silence that ensues, she descends the staircase and steps into a pool of light in the center of the gambling room. Mes chers, welcome. It is my honor to be your host for this trip. We have 3 days of fun ahead of us. Now I want you to drink well, tip your bartenders, have a great time at our tables, and let's just make sure this is a ride that none of us will ever forget. Play on!
There's a cheer from the crowd, and everybody hits the tables twice as hard. However, as the three of you start hoisting your chips up, ready to play another round of blackjack, the butler from earlier yanks on your sleeves.
Theodosia would like to see you now.
Oh, you sure she can't wait just a little bit longer? We've got hot hands over here.
The butler just stares up at you blankly, waiting for you to accompany him.
All right. Jeremiah stands up, shoves all of their winnings into his various coat pockets, and motions for them to follow.
Elias slowly gets up and whispers to Ember, I am such an idiot, I thought Theodosia was the name of the boat, and follows after Jeremiah.
That's a stupid game anyway. And Ember follows after them.
You follow that winding dark hallway once again, but this time you take a different turn and you don't end up at your room. You end up at a marble door in the wall of the ship. There's no way this door could lead to anything. Based on the geography of the ship, this door leads out onto the river, but leaning up against it, with a big cigar in her hand, is Theodosia Queen, and she rights herself as you approach, standing very tall.
Welcome, mes amis. I'm so glad you could join me this evening. She pushes open the marble door to reveal an exquisitely elegant staircase that descends down into shadow. Lucy told me the whole thing, and let me say, I'm just so excited to have y'all on board with me. My name is Theodosia Queen. Welcome to my boat. I was wondering if the three of you would care to join me, and we can get to know each other just a little bit better. You see, for the guests I'm really excited about, I always prepare a little something extra. I'm not gonna kill you. Lucy was very clear about that. I just thought we could have some fun. Now, Lucy gave me your names, but I would love to put a name to each of your lovely faces. How about you, big man in the corner?
Jeremiah takes his top hat off and bows. Well, my name is Jeremiah Finch, ma'am. It is an honor to make your acquaintance.
Likewise, I do love a man who knows his courtesy.
And I guess that makes me Elias Craig, ma'am.
Lucy was especially excited about you. And that means you must be Ember. Well, I have been particularly excited to meet you. Let's see if we can set this boat ablaze.
She extends a hand down the staircase, eyeing Ember up and down as if somebody is seeing a celebrity they've looked up to for a very long time, almost greedily drinking her in with her eyes. She steps aside.
Let's start off small. This is just preliminary, but I thought you all would have a good time.
She gives a neat little nod and then turns and walks off down the hallway, leaving you three at the top of this staircase. Below, you can hear shouting.
There can't be a staircase here, right?
Of all we've seen, you're the most concerned about a staircase?
I was more concerned by her shockingly aerodynamic face. Where are those ears at?
I'm just saying, if we go down there, I don't think we'll be on this ship, technically.
Well, where would we be?
I don't know. That's why I'm bringing it up as a scary point in this. Okay, fine. Be afraid of whatever you want to be afraid of. Elias walks down the stairs.
Jeremiah Finch is afraid of no staircase, and Jeremiah follows him.
Ember looks back over her shoulder to where Theodosia just wandered off to, and then descends into the darkness with her compatriots.
As the three of you descend the staircase, it wraps around in a circular fashion. The shouting gets louder. It sounds exuberant and exhilarated, and you hear one voice shouting over the rest as if from a big acoustic megaphone.
Oh, and there are teeth everywhere! Everybody look out! You gotta pick up those teeth! If you pick up teeth and bring it to me, I'll give you $1 per tooth! Just as a fun little side game. Oh my God! I have to say I have never seen Frank the Gun Jones dismantle an opponent quite so quickly.
The doors behind you close with a big echoing crash, and now you find yourselves out in what looks like a massive basement. Cement pillars from floor to ceiling, a congregation of at least 70-80 people in a big circle in the middle of the room, forming a kind of ring where somebody's body is being dragged out, leaving a big pool of blood behind, and a man with a broken nose is rubbing blood and dirt off of his knuckles with a white rag. As you walk down and join the crowd, a very small man in a tight tweed suit steps into the ring, throws his top hat to the side, and yelling into a cone, begins what is apparently the next round of a big pit fighting tournament.
Now let's bring up our 4 esteemed fighters. We have our current champion, Frank the Gun Jones.
Frank steps up. He's a pretty modest-looking guy, very muscular, but not in like a defined way, sort of like a boxer's body. He wipes off a little bit of blood from his nose and gives the crowd a little wave.
Albert Stonewall.
A giant, ripped man with Arnold Schwarzenegger proportions and a big blonde mustache jauntily steps into the ring and bows to the crowd.
Reese Roswell.
A very skinny man, filthy, missing lots of teeth, not weighing more than 100 pounds, takes a moment, looks around, realizes his name has been called, and then hustles into the ring.
And Tubbs.
A 500-pound man waddles into the ring, finishes off a turkey leg, throws the bone to the side, and just rubs his mouth.
Now these are our 4 base fighters. Of course, if anybody would like to join this fight, you need merely tap one of these men on the shoulder to enter our round-robin tournament. The prize, I need not remind you, is...
He puts his hand to his ear, and everybody shouts,
$500!
That's right, folks, and we have one more special little prize to spice up this pot a little bit.
He reaches into his back pocket, and to oohs and ahs from the crowd, pulls out a yellow vial.
Now, folks, our glorious proprietor, Theodosia Queen, has offered me this extra prize. She's called it Strong Brew. Not even I know what it does, but she did give me a warning that you better not be around anything super heavy, because you might just knock it over. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I am hilarious. Now, do I have any volunteers to tap one of these fine gentlemen out?
The man scans the crowd with a quizzical glance. Nobody steps forward, and then he sees the three of you sort of at the outskirts. Makes eye contact with you, gives you an even further quizzical glance.
Jeremiah raises Ember's hand high in the air.
Oh, a lady! A lady wants to join the fight, everybody! Everybody give her a warm round of applause this evening.
Ember sort of gets shunted to the front of the crowd.
What is your name, miss?
Ember gives perhaps her most scathing glare at Jeremiah, and if she could literally stare daggers at him, this would have been that moment. Before looking at the man and very reluctantly saying, "Name's Ember."
Why, she's the smoldering sultress from deep down south. It's Ember Craig!
Jeremiah's cry is met enthusiastically by the crowd. The MC gestures to Ember.
Well, Miss Ember, who would you like to tap out and replace in this tournament?
Ember looks long and hard between the four men, giving a calculating glance over each one, mentally going over what she thinks would be their strengths and weaknesses. Her eyes finally resting on Frank the Gun Jones. All right, I'll pick him.
Frank, time to take a break. Well earned, my friend.
Frank gives another wave to the crowd and steps out.
Now, everybody, if you wouldn't mind shucking your weaponry, this will be a bare-knuckle brawl to the last man falls.
Jeremiah walks up and pulls Ember into a hug, just for good luck, and slips her the retractable blade. I'm betting on you, and walks away.
Roll a stealth check, Jeremiah.
25.
The transaction goes unnoticed. Ember slides it up her sleeve.
Bless you, sister. And Elias casts Bless on Ember.
Ember steps forward, now having been blessed and with a retractable blade up her sleeve. Her other weapons piled in a corner just outside the ring. The man steps forward and brings Reese Roswell, the small man, with him.
Now you all know the rules? No weaponry of any kind, no magical tricks of any sort, and if I catch anybody cheating, oh, there will be consequences. All right, let's begin. Reese Roswell versus Ember Craig.
The two face off. Reese Roswell, the dirty, prospector-looking man, stands across the circle, takes off his shirt, reveals a ripped six-pack and very muscular small arms, and assumes a martial arts stance that seems far beyond his intelligence level. He doesn't say anything, but he gives a little gleeful giggle.
Fight!
Ember pretends to look demure for a second while saying, "Excuse me, hold on my skirt," before violently ripping open her skirt to reveal her trusty trousers and giving the man a swift roundhouse kick to the side of his head.
Roll an attack.
9.
Reese easily ducks the kick, slides under Ember's legs, and jumps up behind her, attempting to grapple her from behind. Roll a strength opposed check.
15.
He grabs you. He wraps his arms around your throat, and you begin to lose air. You hear him laughing in your ear.
Ember attempts to shoulder throw him onto the ground in front of her and stomp on his face with the boot of her heel.
Roll a strength check.
16.
You're unable to shake him free. He proceeds to punch you square in the jaw from behind. 21 will be a hit. Ember, you take 8 damage.
Ember elbows him in the stomach.
Make an attack with disadvantage.
7.
The man easily skitters around her back, avoiding the elbow, and tries to pull her back onto the floor. Roll another strength oppose.
10.
He succeeds, pulling Ember hard onto the floor. As you crash into the wood, you take 7 more damage. Ember's now got several cuts and bruises on her face.
Come on, Ember. You can do it. We believe in you.
Shut your mouth, you motherless whore! Ember tries for a groin kick.
Make an attack with disadvantage.
1.
Ember botches with a 98 percentile severity. Reese Roswell makes one very strong motion with his arm, choking Ember out. Ember's eyes roll up into the back of her head. Can you please make a constitution save not to pass out?
16.
Ember goes limp and is unconscious. Reese hops to his feet. The MC walks out.
And our victor, easily dispatching Ember Craig, Reese Roswell.
Ember is still lying completely unconscious, face down on the ground.
Elias runs up to Ember.
She is still breathing fine, but she's clearly out cold.
He begins to pray over her body and casts Cure Wounds at 2nd level.
Ember's eyes flutter open.
Jeremiah runs up. Oh, I gave you the blade so you could just cut him when he grappled you. He's a grapply, wiry son of a bitch. You gotta cut him in the leg.
What was that?
I said I gave her that hug for good luck. Is something wrong with your ears, sir? Get out of my face.
Roll a deception check, please.
12.
He shakes his head, clearly thinking he heard something different, and shuffles off.
Ember looks through Jeremiah and then turns her head to Elias. "Thanks, Eli," before standing up and gathering herself.
Now for our second round of fighting. Tubbs will face off against Albert Stonewall. Last chance for anybody who wants to hop in on this one.
Elias raises Jeremiah's hand.
There he is! What is your name, sir?
Jeremiah gets pulled into the front.
Owning it, he throws his hands up in the air.
Jeremiah Finch.
And he looks around the room before bending down and whispering to the two of them, I owe you this one. And then getting up on the turnbuckle and throwing his hands up and down.
Well, Mr. Finch, who would you like to tap out? Albert Stonewall or Tubbs?
Jeremiah, staring at Ember, taps out Tubbs.
Albert Stonewall looks so excited. Ha ha! I'm going to wipe the floor with you, sir.
I've fought bigger men than you with more open bullet holes than I have fingers.
Everybody, shirk your weapons.
Jeremiah undoes his 2 pistol bandoliers and rolls them up and hands them to Ember, and then pulls a plethora of other knives off of his person and hands them to her as well.
Albert Stonewall takes a boxer stance at the opposite end of the circle. The MC steps out into the center.
Let's begin!
Right at the gates, Jeremiah throws a left jab to the man's nose. 15.
Oh! Ha ha!
And Jeremiah follows it up with a right hook. 20.
A hit and another 6 damage.
Oh, my goodness.
A fist rockets at your face. 17 will hit. Jeremiah takes 10 damage. Albert turns to the crowd.
Everybody observe as I break this man's face.
And Jeremiah kicks him in the balls from behind as hard as he can. 14. And then as the man's knees buckle, kicks him in the back of the head with his heel. 14.
You, sir, are dead meat.
He stands up, he bum rushes Jeremiah, takes him to the floor, and is on top of him, ready to start punching his face.
And Jeremiah throws 2 wild haymakers to the man's flanks to try to get him off of him. 26.
Hit.
8.
That one is a miss. The man takes the kidney shot and begins laying into Jeremiah's face, throwing 3 powerful punches downward. The first punch is a botch with a 58%. Jeremiah catches Albert's fist, throws him off, and is now on top of him.
Ho ho! Stronger than I look! And Jeremiah starts laying into the man's face. 7 and 10.
Both are misses. Albert tries to throw you off.
28.
You maintain your position and continue to punch.
2 18s in a row.
Albert spits out a whole bunch of blood, tries to throw Jeremiah off one last time, is completely unable to. He's clearly losing consciousness. Jeremiah goes in for the final blow.
Jeremiah looks at Ember once more and lets Albert topple him over.
Albert, thinking it's entirely his own doing, gets really excited and starts wailing on Jeremiah.
I told you I would best you.
4 punches slam into Jeremiah's head as his head bounces off of the floor with each blow. Jeremiah takes 44 cumulative damage. His eyes swollen and bruised. One of his teeth is spat out onto the floor.
Jeremiah lays flat.
Albert stands up, looks at the MC with a quizzical look. The MC is also confused at Jeremiah laying flat and having lost control so abruptly, but he immediately covers for it with the crowd.
And our winner is Albert Stonewall. Well done, Albert.
Albert, still looking a little confused, still manages to enjoy his victory as the crowd chants his name. The MC helps Jeremiah to his feet.
Pretty poor showing there, Mr. Finch. Why don't you and your compatriots go and take up some other game more suited to you?
His pride clearly hurt a little bit. Jeremiah earnestly grabs his coat and steps out of the ring.
The butler is there once again, and as you 3 are pushed out of the circle, has one eyebrow raised and points up the stairs.
I'll take you to your room now.
That was it?
Miss Queen sent you here to test your physical prowess. She has the data that she required.
So not good then.
You did rather poorly, that's correct.
Jeremiah spits blood on his face and walks up the staircase.
The man takes a handkerchief, clearly used to abuse, wipes the blood off of his face. As you're ascending the staircase in the distance,
And Reese Roswell has clawed out Albert's eyes.
Good God, I cannot see. I cannot see.
Look at these.
the butler brings up the rear behind you on the staircase.
Ember turns around and says to the butler, I'm gonna need a new dress.
Right away, miss.
Jeremiah, tip him one of our chips.
Jeremiah reluctantly fishes out a chip and flicks it to him with his thumb.
He catches it quickly, puts it in his pocket.
This way.
He leads you through the Great Hall, where the games are really taking off, and asks if you'd like to continue playing or to return to your room.
What'll it be?
I think it's my turn to take a bath now. And Ember stalks off to the room.
Well, Elias, I guess that leaves us to play.
I am not staying with you. Elias follows Ember.
Just me, then. Jeremiah looks at the wad of chips in his hand and walks back into the blackjack tables.
Phew! How are they gonna get out of that one? I'm just kidding. I'm actually recording this before I know where it's gonna go in the episode, so I don't know what's happening right now. Anyway, hey again, it's George, y'all. Thanks for listening to this latest episode of Hero Club. Follow us on social media at Hero Club Podcast. That'll be on Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website, www.heroclubpodcast.com, for lots of exclusive content. And while you're doing that, go visit our friends over at magehandpress.com. Check out their amazing original content made just for playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Go check out their Weird West Handbook. Use the promo code Adversary to get 25% off of that. That's ADVERSARY. And while you're there, check out the awesome NPC PDFs they've made for our campaign. All right, back to the action. Time passes. Jeremiah spends about 7 hours in the blackjack room, while Ember and Elias get back to the room and sort themselves out. After a while, Jeremiah, you are down about $60, frustrated at a blackjack table as Elias and Ember come find you and reunite with you. It must be around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. at this point, but nobody shows any signs of stopping. In fact, the party just seems to be getting more and more intense. People are drinking heavily. Some of the guests appear to be a little bit overtired, but won't leave the tables. Ember, Elias, despite your best efforts back in the room, you were both completely unable to sleep. Jeremiah, $60 down, is getting frustrated at the table.
Ember comes up beside Jeremiah. How you feeling?
The swelling around Jeremiah's black eye has reduced slightly, and the cut in his lip has stopped bleeding. The tooth remains missing.
I'm fine. Jeremiah pushes $20 more in. Don't worry about little old me, I can take a beating.
Hit a stick.
Hit.
Jeremiah busts.
God damn.
The dealer sticks and takes the pot.
Mr. Finch, are you sure you don't want you sure you don't want any aid from the big man upstairs?
No, it's alright. Like I said before, sometimes you just gotta take it on the chin. I'm in for another round.
Before you put your chips in, the butler again is at your side, tugs on your sleeve, Jeremiah.
Theodosia sent me for you again. She has something special planned, she says.
Fuck Theodosia.
The butler turns to Elias and Ember.
I agree, but of course we will go.
Jeremiah forfeits his $20 ante, downs the rest of his glass, and pushes his chair in as he walks past the man.
The butler leads you to the same set of doors. However, this time, rather than being a bright white marble, they are taller, skinnier wooden doors, undoubtedly in the same location, but a completely different make. The butler swings the doors open. Theodosia is not waiting for you. She's nowhere to be seen. And as he swings the doors open, immediately, a massive roar of a crowd meets your ears. Not like the congregation of 70, 80 people in the basement. This sounds like a stadium full of people. And as you look through the doorway, there's a red velvet curtain blocking whatever is to be seen on the other side of it. He ushers you all in through the door, closes it behind you, and then pulls aside the curtain to reveal a ticket booth. A tired-looking man sits behind a cage, stacks and stacks of chips behind him, and 6 pictures on the wall next to him, each one of a dog. The roar of the crowd is sort of a din, as if it's taking place outside while you are on the interior of a stadium. Would you like to place your bets? He gestures for you to come forward.
Well, I don't like to put money down unless I know what I'm betting on, so.
The man rolls his eyes. There's a string just to the right of him, and he pulls the string. A curtain to the left slides open, and 6 dogs begin barking at you from within big kennels. You can inspect them all you like. Just tell me where you'd like to bet and how much. Each dog looks completely different and has a name emblazoned in a plaque at the bottom of it. The first kennel contains a jet black hound, very focused, very intense, and extremely quiet, with the name Brimstone on a plaque on the floor. Next, a long, sickly, gangly dog, gray in color, sort of a greyhound breed, with the name Plague. To the right of that, a mangy, growling dog, possibly rabid, with the name Salazar. Next to that, Diablo, a ferocious, barking, short-eared tank of a dog. Then next to that, Beelzebub, a happily panting, black, puffy, poodle-haired pup. And then finally, a very scared-looking chihuahua, shivering intensely, named Poopsie.
Sir, I still don't quite understand. What are these dogs going to do? And what are we betting on?
Well, they're gonna race, you idiot. This is a dog racing course.
I thought they were going to fight.
What are you, some kind of monster?
Okay.
The butler, however, pulls Ember aside and says,
Not you, miss. I was told to give you this.
It's a note. As you unfold it, it reads, Top box, just you. TQ.
You're supposed to come with me. You two gentlemen, enjoy the race.
Well, now hold on a minute. We're more of a team, like. We stay all together.
The butler cuts you off.
My instructions were very clear.
I don't give a good goddamn about your instructions, you tiny man.
Sir, Why is Theodosia so interested in my sister?
The man hesitates, clearly having been told to keep this sort of hush-hush, but in order to placate you, says,
Theodosia wishes to speak to Ember because Theodosia is familiar with her previous work and would like to express her admiration.
I'm not really used to having fans.
Oh, Miss Queen is quite impressed by you overall, despite last night's mishaps.
Well, I guess you guys will know where to find me.
Well, if you need anything at all, just holler. Come on, Elias. Let's leave it to her business.
The butler leads Ember away, and the two of you are left to place your bets.
I say we go all in on Poopsie.
Ember, the small butler man, hunched over, leads you up some stairs, past roaring crowds, screaming in anticipation for this race, and finally leads you to a beautifully kept top box, to which he unlocks the door with a big, oversized key. It creaks open, and inside, with a wall-to-wall window overseeing a gigantic dog racing track, sits Theodosia Queen in a big red velvet chair, wooden trunks and tables scattered throughout the room as if it were meant to entertain larger crowds, but she is completely on her own. The chair swivels around, the butler bows, and closes the door behind him, leaving you two alone in the room together.
I thought I would never get you alone. It's time for the two of us to have a chat.
Back down in the stadium, amidst a very excited crowd full of faces you do not recognize, Elias and Jeremiah find two seats next to each other, clutching tickets marked Poopsie. The odds for this dog are about 15-1, so Elias and Jeremiah stand to make quite a lot of money.
I don't know, I just have a good feeling about Poopsie.
Every other name had something to do with hell or the devil, so there was really no other choice.
Both men sit in silence for a moment, not really sure of what to say to each other, alone for the first time in a long time.
I hope Ember knows that I'm sorry about the fight. Having had the privilege of receiving one of her right hooks, I just knew she was capable of it is all. That was my point.
No, if anything, she's not mad at you. I don't know what was going on with her. Something's off. About everything.
Back up in the top box, Theodosia stands up out of her chair and saunters over to Ember.
You know, Lucy's told me a great deal about you, ma chérie. I've heard so many tales of your exploits with the demon hunters. You know, since Lucy's been top dog, there's no one who's made quite as much of a stir as you have. Now, he may be the author of chaos, but he tends to run a fairly tight ship. That's the most I'll say about him. But you somehow have managed to really shake up the hierarchy of things. That little fight with Belphegor? Didn't you drop a house on him? Oh, I tip my hat to you, Myth. I can't imagine what kinds of fun you could get up to if you had some real challenges. I mean, you're like, well, if demons had a boogeyman, you'd be it. I'm sorry. I can see I've caught you off guard. Let me properly introduce myself. I'm Theodosia Queen. You may know me better as Mephistopheles. I'm the demon princess of temptation and fire, hence the gambling.
Well, nice to officially make your acquaintance, ma'am.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine.
To be frank, this is a much more civil situation than what I'd pictured for our first meeting.
And why shouldn't we be civil? I think you'll find we have much more in common than we are at odds.
Would you mind clarifying that for me just a smidge?
Ma chérie.
I don't speak French.
Well, let's just say, in the same way that not all humans get along, not all demons do either. We have our little tiffs and our spats and our jostles for power. And I think you've proven to be quite the wild card. Why don't we take a step back? I have a little game in mind for you.
Haven't been doing too well at this lately.
Well, think of it as a chance to redeem yourself. And you can always say no. Though I'll admit, it would be a disappointment for me. You can't imagine the centuries and centuries of boring old heroes. I mean, flashes in the pan, but you've been burning for a little longer, haven't you, Ember?
Back down in the stadium, the race is about to begin. The crowd is getting more and more excited, and the same MC from the pit fighting ring steps out in front of the crowd with that same big acoustic megaphone cone and starts yelling into it.
Welcome, everybody, to the best fucking dog race this side of this dimension. I hope all of you placed your bets wisely, because we are about to get things started in just a couple of seconds here. Let's introduce our pups, shall we? First we have Brimstone. Give it up for Plague. Let's hear it for Salazar, Diablo, Beelzebub, and last and frankly probably least, Poopsie.
There he is, look, there's our Poopsie now, taking the thoroughfare.
I truly believe I'm going insane.
Back up in the top box.
I have a secret for you. Now, this race that we're watching, it's already rigged. That's not the fun part. Now, Jeremiah's dog, whichever one he chooses, will win. Your job is to kill it before it does. Now, I know it's quite a distance, but with your level of skill, it should be more than doable. Oh, come on. Don't look at me like that.
With all due respect, ma'am, the person you should have got to shoot it is the one who's betting on it. I've never been a very good shot.
Well, that would spoil the fun, wouldn't it? This is a casino after all, and I like to play for stakes.
Which are?
Should you manage to shoot the dog before it completes the race, I'll give you this.
Theodosia, from behind her back, holds aloft a vial full of pink liquid.
This potion allows you to ingratiate the drinker. Whatever the state of their soul, it will be purged, and they will be your ally. However, if, on the other hand, you should fail to kill the dog and Poopsie should finish his race, well, Jeremiah loses his arm.
Ember, shocked as you look down at the stadium, you see two burly 7-foot men sitting behind Elias and Jeremiah, who are completely oblivious to their presence.
You did say I have the right to say no.
But it would be so much more fun if you said yes.
In the silence that follows, Theodosia slyly puts forward her hand.
Do we have a bet?
I'd be an idiot if I thought I really actually had a choice in this, so...
That's not true. You have, of course, the option to say no. I gave you that.
Bullshit. And Ember takes her hand.
Well, I'm glad that you decided to play my little game anyway.
Theodosia gestures to the window, where there is a rifle leaning against the glass.
Well, the race is about to start. Take your position.
Ember takes up the rifle and readies herself.
Below, Jeremiah and Elias eagerly await the start of the race.
Can't you feel it, Elias? Isn't it fun? Feeling the excitement of a race? Money on the line.
I have to admit, yeah.
The gun goes off, and the race begins.
Come on, Poopsie.
And they're out! Looks like we've got Brimstone with an early lead as we are out of the gate with a flash. But what's this? Plague is quickly overtaking with those enormous strides. The order: Plague, Brimstone, Salazar, Beelzebub, Diablo, and Poopsie, bringing up the rear by a relatively large margin.
Come on, Poopsie, show those heathens!
Back up in the box.
Ember fires off a shot at Poopsie.
Roll your attack.
18.
The shot rings out, is lost in the roar of the crowd, and you can see it impact in the dirt just to the left of Poopsie.
Oh, it was so close, though. Try another one.
As we round the corner, and now making an outside pass, we have Diablo tearing around the exterior. And look at that! Salazar has flipped over and is down. Even Poopsie gives him a pass as we've hit the straightaway.
Ember fires again. 8.
The shot goes very wide.
I'm starting to think you're not really taking this seriously.
Ember can start to feel the pressure mounting slowly with each missed shot, and also the pressure of the past day of just this continual loss of everything she's tried to accomplish. As she levels off the rifle, takes a deep breath, and squeezes the trigger. 16.
The bullet again goes wide.
Plague and Brimstone still holding firmly in first and second place. These pups are not given an inch as we round the second corner.
Ember, frankly starting to get pissed, shoots again. 13.
Salazar has made a recovery, passing Poopsie as we speak as Brimstone pushes his way back into the lead.
Theodosia, looking very smug, waves her hand up. The two big burly men stand up out of their seats. Jeremiah and Elias notice a slight disturbance behind them, but don't really pay it any mind. Ember, you see one of the men pick up a big pair of garden shears and ready them.
Fucking die, you chihuahua piece of shit. 22.
What an extraordinarily close
Poopsie.
race, dear
Come
patrons.
on, the whole
Coming
house
into
is
the
bet
bottom
on you.
straight away now
Come
we have
on,
Brimstone.
Poopsie.
Blade, Diablo,
Come on.
Beelzebub,
Do it for me,
Zephaniah.
Poopsie.
What's this?
Do it for me,
It's
Poopsie. Come on.
He's making a left. It's
Do
just
it.
for the
Do
finish.
it. You got
he
it.
is
Oh,
shooting
come-
ahead. Oh my God.
Poopsie, the little chihuahua, tumbles into the dirt, and after a moment, you see Poopsie's head tumble a little further away. The shot is dead on, and the dogs finish the race.
And it's Brimstone! Brimstone is our winning dog this day, everybody. It looks like Poopsie has had a small accident.
Ember whirls around facing Theodosia and points the rifle at her. Now tell me what the fuck you want with me before I pull this trigger.
Theodosia, a little shocked, waves the men off. You see a little bit of frustrated anger bubble up inside of her, but she quickly stifles it, maintaining her composure.
Well, it turns out you can do something with a gun. My dear, I don't have to tell you anything. You played a good game. I hope we can play again.
She gestures out of the room, handing Ember the vial.
Fuck you and this boat, and Ember pulls the trigger.
The bullet exits the gun and stops very short of Mephistopheles, whose eyes have turned a sheer white.
I'll forgive one, but I punish two.
The barrel of the gun bends upward in Ember's hand.
For the moment, our interests are aligned. But you've killed family of mine, so don't push it.
Ember tosses the useless rifle to the side and snatches the vial out of Theodosia's hand.
The butler leads Ember back to Elias and Jeremiah, who are absolutely distraught about their narrow loss. Now totally out of money.
I just can't believe we lost. Poopsie was really pulling in at the end there. You see the look in his eyes? He was making for that straight away.
Yeah, and then his head fell off.
Hey, y'all.
Ember, what did, the big lady upstairs want with you?
Well, long story short, she made me shoot Poopsie to save your arm, so you're welcome there.
God damn it, Ember, you shot Poopsie? I bet it all on Poopsie.
I'd imagine you'd be much worse of a shot if you were missing one of your arms.
Well, I'm good with both.
Oh, shut up.
Ember stalks off. Jeremiah and Elias sheepishly follow.
Ember turns around to face the two of them. Oh, I forgot. And she pulls out the vial with the mysterious pink liquid inside. I got this. If anyone drinks it and they're your friend or something like that, I don't know, about their soul being good. Honestly, there was a lot going on upstairs. There was a lot.
She had you shoot a dog and then gave you a vial of pink liquid that turns people into friends? Who is this woman?
Unlike any casino owner I've ever met.
She's a demon princess, and I have a feeling I've killed her brother. So there's that.
A
What? You started with the vial?
Well, I mean, it's not that surprising. We're on a weird boat run by Satan, sort of, and this weird woman with no ears. Like, she's not human. She's a demon princess. I figured that just kind of would make sense.
The hunched butler, who has remained very quiet throughout this whole conversation, finally perks up and says,
Theodosia would like to see you in her private quarters. All three of you. You'll notice as we return, time has taken an interesting jump.
We're not gonna wake up in potato sacks again, are we?
What? Potato sacks? No, you see, in this dimension, as it's called, time moves a bit differently. I believe you know it as limbo, Mr. Craig.
I don't care. Take us to Theodosia. Test us on whatever's next.
He nods, leads you back the way you came, and what you notice as you re-enter the boat is that there's a lot of loud shouting from the Great Hall. Now, as you pass the Great Hall, you just get a peek in, but you notice that everybody's suit jackets are flung to the side, people are sweaty, dirty, and they are surrounding a giant crowd, where Wexler, his hair slicked back, pulling from a giant bottle of whiskey, is throwing knives at David, who is tied to a post. Wexler has clearly missed the apple on top of his head several times.
A Van Buren never misses on his 8th try.
But he leads you past the madness to a thick oak door on the opposite end of the boat, where Theodosia is waiting for you. Her expression is no longer friendly. It's very stone-faced and serious. She opens the door, looking blankly ahead of her, and leads you into the room, which is pitch black except for a single spotlight that shines on one blackjack table in the middle of the room. As she reaches the table, she picks up a pack of cards, shuffles them with a flourish, and says,
Sit. Play. It's time for our final bets.
With even more pomp than before, Jeremiah doffs his hat, bows even lower, and says, Princess, and takes a seat at the table.
She remains stone-faced and looks to the other two.
Elias walks forward to his seat, and as he takes it, So, you've cursed these people, haven't you?
She ignores him.
Ember follows suit and sits down before leaning a little over the table and whispering, Sorry about your brother. Had to happen.
It could be your imagination, but you see Theodosia's eyes flash white for a moment. She coughs and then re-steadies herself.
As I'm sure you've noticed, we're heading into the final leg of our journey. If you three would like off this boat, you're gonna have to play a game with me. I have a bet for each of you. But first, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to set your own stakes. You each get to offer a bet to me.
She turns to Jeremiah.
So saying we can play for anything we want.
That's right. You can play for money, more years alive, women. Take your pick.
She snaps the deck and quickly deals herself and you, Jeremiah, 2 cards. Jeremiah, your 2 cards are a 6 of spades and a 4 of clubs. Theodosia deals herself 1 card face down and a 3 of hearts.
All right, Jeremiah, place your bet.
I want all the gold bars and Fort Knox.
Done. But if you lose, every dollar, every coin, every precious metal you touch will turn to ash.
Hit.
Theodosia throws down a 4 of diamonds. Jeremiah's total is brought to 14.
Hit or stick.
Hit.
Jeremiah busts, and Theodosia begins dealing herself cards. Dealing a king of clubs, which brings her total to 15, and deals herself 1 more card, and busts as well.
Whoo, hoo, hoo, that was a nail biter there.
Well, I love a close shave. Let's move on to the dear brother. What will you bet?
I want to be able to read this here language. And Elias shows Theodosia the book.
Well, see, that's not a language. That there's a puzzle. It's more specifically, a map.
Then I want to be able to read any map there is.
Done. But if you lose, you'll never read anything at all.
Deal.
She deals Elias 2 cards, a king of spades and an ace of hearts. He has blackjack. Theodosia deals herself a face-down card and a 6 of clubs.
Hit or stick.
I just learned this game today, but the one thing I learned was blackjack.
Elias flips his card. Theodosia looks surprised and impressed and hits herself 1 more time. In Elias, you feel a sharp pain between your ears that quickly dissipates.
Congratulations. I guess the luck of the cards was with you on that one.
You know it wasn't the cards.
Theodosia rolls her eyes and turns to Ember.
Well, now I guess it's time for us to play again. What'll you bet?
Ember, looking her dead in the eyes, says, I'll bet $1.
Fine. But if you lose, I get one of your hairs.
Fine by me, but I'm picking which one.
The cards are dealt. Ember receives an ace of diamonds and a 2 of clubs. Theodosia's face-up card is an 8 of hearts.
Hit me.
With a 2, 4, and an ace, Ember's total is either brought to 17 or 7.
I think I'll stay.
Fine.
Theodosia sticks at 18.
I guess I'll win.
Ember pulls at the leg of her trousers, yanks out one of her leg hairs, and hands it over to Theodosia.
Now if you'll indulge me, I have some bets of my own to place with each of you. And of course, as always, you're free to decline. Jeremiah, I bet that bullet in your pocket. If you lose, I get it. But if you win, I'll give you another one. But don't worry, even if you lose it, I'll replace it with something else.
Theodosia pulls out a very small whittling knife that is clearly made out of the same black obsidian that the bullet is made out of, and places it on the table.
I think that's too rich for my blood. I'm out.
Theodosia retracts the knife, shrugs her shoulders, and turns to Elias.
Elias, I'll bet you an amulet that'll give you maximum strength. And I do mean maximum. But if you lose, you'll never walk again.
If you don't mind me saying, Theodosia, I believe that blackjack got you might rattled. I've never wanted to be a strong man. No matter what, I'm gonna walk this earth and preach the word. I decline.
Fine. Well, then I guess it's back down to you, Miss Ember. I know we've had our disagreements in the past, but I'd like to make you an offer. Your actions have made Belphegor's followers quite unhappy with you, and they're sending a little something special your way. What I can offer you is the insight to see when it's coming. But if you lose, I'll warn Belphegor's followers about Elias's magic. Do we have a bet?
Ember takes a moment to herself to think it over before finally looking up. I think you telling me about it is enough insight for me. I'm disinclined to acquiesce your request.
Well, I must say this voyage has been quite the disappointment for me. But no matter. You know, they do say that I am the demon of temptation and fire. I haven't had to use fire in a while. I'd beware the smoke, Ember. I'd hate to see a blaze consume such a small flame.
A door shoots open towards the back of this completely pitch black room out onto the riverbank. It's daylight. Light shines into the room, which you can now see is completely bare aside from this table, and a plank makes a connection with the land.
We've arrived. You're free to go.
I would say it was nice meeting you, but it wasn't really. Tell your brother I say hello. And Ember walks off.
Jeremiah puts his top hat back on, ma'am, and follows Ember.
Clearly, there's nothing I can do about it anyway, but just for peace of mind, what happens to the others? Elias nods and walks off the ship.
Your bags are waiting for you on the shore already. You step blearily out into the sunlight. It's hot. The terrain around you has become far more desert-like. Trees are nowhere to be seen, and the plank retracts back up into the boat. Now that you see it in daylight, it looks disgusting. Barnacles hang off the side, which seems impossible because there are no shellfish in the Colorado River of that nature. This thing has clearly been out to sea, and it appears to be well into the process of rotting. The boat travels down the river a bit more. As you walk away from the shoreline, you hear an explosion behind you. As your heads snap around to see the source, you see the boat, consumed by flames from nowhere, sink below the surface. The water bubbles with the heat, and then goes still again. You look around, and it dawns on you. Skillet is nowhere to be found.
Lightbringer, Lightbringer, turn away, you great deceiver. Lightbringer.
This has been a Hero Club production, produced by Nick Williams and George Primavera with associate producers Marty Abby Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Hannah Fagerbaki, Dylan McCollum, Umi Shakti, and Marty Abby Schneider. Theme song written by Matthew McCollum and performed by Hannah Fagerbaki. Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod, Ben Doyle, and Henry Hall for their awesome music, Nolan North for that badass intro, and for Marty Abby Schneider for his incredible artwork. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the club.
I want you where I'm you think you're quick, you think you're wise. Think you're on my level, let's roll them dice.
I say we go all in on Poopsie.
We cut from there.
A+.